Hello. I just want to say thank you for everyone for coming out here to support me today and watch this presentation. Um, like we all know, I am Blessing Onaiwu, and today I will be speaking on my interest on journalism and film editing. For those of you who don't know, I'm just going to start with a brief explanation of what ISM is. Because a lot of people, when I gave this invitation, was like, "Oh, what's ISM?" I'm gonna explain now. So basically, ISM it stands for Independent Study and Mentorship, and what that is basically, in a nutshell, everything is split into 2 semesters. So in the first semester, you have to find something you're interested in, and you kind of do extensive research on it, and do interviews with people who have that career. And your goal is to basically find a mentor, and when you find this mentor, then that's when you transition into second semester. So second semester, your goal then becomes to try to make a product that embodies everything that you learned throughout the entire year. So with all this being said, I was like, what am I interested in? What exactly do I want to do this whole class? I guess, what do I want to do this on? And I basically did not know what I wanted to be. I just kept asking myself, well, what do I want to be? And you know, as I was growing up, I went through, like everybody, went through transitions with what I wanted to be, and I had this crazy obsession with ties. I don't know, I just had, now it's bow ties, but I had this thing with ties, and I really wanted a tie, and I wanted to be anybody. I wanted to have a career that you got to wear a tie. So, you know, I wanted to be just like my dad, because my dad, who's a pastor, he wears ties every Sunday, so I'm just like, dang, I gotta be just like my dad. So I just wanted ties. And then I grew up a little more. Okay, this is my father out here on the left. And, you know, I grew up a little more and I became like a normal child. I'm not saying it's not normal to be like your dad, but, you know, everybody who's young wants to be what they see on TV. So I'm like, I'm gonna be everything I see on TV. Not even just one, I wanted to pick everyone. So I wanted to be Superman and I wanted to be Spider-Man at the same time. So, you know, being a child, you know, you don't know that, you know, that's not possible, but you couldn't stop me. And then I grew up a little more, and I really desired to be a musician. I love music, I love poetry, and, you know, I was all right in rapping. As Ty would say, I sucked, but, you know, I really did like it. And I changed my mind, and I was like, now I want to be a rapper. So I want to be like Biggie, I want to be like Eminem, I want to be like Pac, man. That's what I wanted to be. And, you know, I was so happy about this that I wasn't even ashamed to tell my dad. I was like, hey, Papa, I want to be a rapper. And I remember that day he got so mad, and he was like, rap what? Rap what? My friend, will you go and wrap sandwiches? And yes, to us, it's like, thank you. But to him and the family, it was like a historic day. And we always make fun of me. So I grew past that, and I was like, well, I still want to be a musician. So, you know, I play the saxophone, so now I'm going to just be a saxophonist. So I'm going to just perform everywhere. And yes, that was okay and all, but I still felt that I needed something more. So I came to a stance where I was just kind of like, just confused, and, you know, I was kind of down about it, and I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I just wanted to be famous. I think I just settled there. And I wanted the lights, I wanted the attention, I wanted all of these things that are very unnecessary, but, you know, that's what I wanted. And I had this theory that, you know, if I met one person a day or something, or if I, you know, talked to enough people, I would one day just become famous. And, you know, being in high school, you know, we could talk to a lot of people. And I was like, well, being popular is like my first step to, I guess, fame. And then I grew up a little bit more, and, you know, you can see I grew up a lot. And I realized that all that did not have substance, and I lacked substance, and I needed to find something that, you know, meant something. You know, when we're young, we always hear, you know, hard work. If you work hard, you'll get to your dreams, you know, hard work and dedication. And, you know, that phrase is really, it really deteriorates as you grow, because you hear it so much that it just like depreciates. It's really nothing to you. It's like hard work, all right, hard work, whatever. But, you know, I kept hearing it, and, you know, I was just like, it was just nothing to me. And one day I came across someone, and he said this quote. He said, sleep is for billionaires. And his name is Robert Williams. And this totally just changed my mind of just the whole concept of working hard, because like conceptually, like you don't really think you're working hard, but if you can work hard enough for you to give up sleep, I feel like that's a different level of working hard. So I was like, okay. So I reflected and I thought about everything that I wanted to be when I was a child, whether it was my dad or a rapper or a saxophonist or a superhero. Like, thought about this, and even though they were all different when you look at it, like superficially, I guess, when you really think about it, all of these kind of have like one characteristics, which is kind of like helping people. And that's what I am. I'm a helper. I'm friendly. I like to speak for people who cannot speak for themselves. So I kind of mentally kind of put this like comparison between everything, and I realized that what I wanted to do was journalism. And that's where I wanted to be a journalist. And that's where I am today. I mean, I haven't grown out of that. And I did some research, and I asked myself, what is journalism? And dictionary definition of journalism is the occupation of reporting, writing, editing, photographing, broadcasting news of conduct. Any news organization has a business? Yes, that. We can all read. Thank you. And that was just, it was basic. It wasn't really anything like inspiring, but I came across a picture which was just deeper. And it was like, journalism is printing what someone else does not want printed. Everything else is public relations. So it's kind of being the voice of the people, of all the people basically. And I realized that doing this, I also, if I want to get into this video and doing all this journalism, I need to be interested in digital and video editing too. So that's where my film production comes into. And the thing is that, yes, a journalist tells a story, but the thing about film editing, you get to create more of the story. You manipulate it and they juxtapose the story. So it's just more interesting. So if you can master both of these concepts, you're just like, I don't know, you're like a manipulator, like it's crazy. And in first semester, after I got, my career, I went into interviews. I started speaking with different people at different schools, and it started with Miss Bagwell, and she is the journalism and broadcast teacher of, I think it's Heritage, and she, we just spoke a lot. We just sat down and we just talked, and she taught me about how I need to get myself out there, and if I really want to be successful in journalism, I had to be able to, identify. It's all about networking. And I need to record everything. And when I go into the world and I start doing all this journalism, what I need to be able to do is ask the bigger question, which is usually why. Everybody asks what happens. Naturally, when you tell a story, you're saying what happens, but you never really hear why. And that's what really distinguishes you from, I guess, mediocre journalists. And then my next interview was Ms. Homan, and she is the teacher of Wakeland. And she's very interesting because we spoke like we did not have difference of skin color. I'm African and she is white, but we spoke on issues that are going on currently in the media. Like we were like both people of the same color, like no boundaries or anything. And at first I thought this was like a huge digression from what I'm supposed to be learning, but actually it wasn't. When we spoke, we talked about racial comparisons, racial tensions, society and pressures, and then she gave me a little advice. But after it, I was just kind of like down because it was like, this lady, she's not even talking about nothing, like she's not helping me. And then she just flipped everything. She said, how we just had this conversation like it was just normal? And I was like, yes. She was like, that's exactly how you need to tell your story. That's exactly how you need to embody all of that into your art. Like you gotta understand how to convey your message without being so pedantic, I guess. And someone just, okay, all right, he's gone. And then I went to my next interview, who is actually my mentor, and his name is Mr. Tosin Aduahi, and he's an African just like me. And he is the founder of Trendy Africa. Trendy Africa is a magazine, a website, like a publishing house. They're based in Africa, I guess, but I guess they were born in America, and they're open to They do a lot of things like weddings and all these things. They're just really big, and they're really well known in like the Nigerian and some of the Ghana communities, and everyone just knows about them. So they're kind of like pioneers of what they do. And he just turned out to be my mentor. He's a family friend. So then I started going into journalism assessments, where I learned hints and tips, kind of like what I was learning with the interviews, but these were on paper, and this is what I was learning. These are just some of the ones I learned. 10 helpful hints for students. She Hits Harder Now, who is Lisa Ling. 5 questions to ask before making a documentary, which is what I plan to do. And also doing journalism. I'm also doing film editing, so I had to do some of those assessments also. And I just learned how to manipulate through editing and all these things. And now that I knew what I was doing, what I was trying to do, I moved into second semester, and I knew that I needed a product. Like, yes, I know what career I want to go into, but how do I show that I'm learning throughout the year? And that's when I thought back of my trip to Nigeria in 2013. You see, I went there, excuse this slide, and coming there, no, I wasn't totally brainwashed by the media saying that Africa is just full of poverty and everything, but I was influenced by I guess what the media was telling me. And all we see when we think of Africa is naked children, hungry children with flies around their mouth, wildness, just everywhere, animals free. But when I got there, I was really baffled, because that's not what I saw. I knew that's not what I was going to see, but I wasn't expecting to see civilization to this degree. So when I saw it, I was really surprised. But even more than that, I was surprised to see or to hear about people's perception of America from Nigeria. So the thing is that to the Nigerians, or to the Africans, if I speak generally, they feel like America is a place where money grows on trees, a place where everything is so easy. Because to them, when they see people leave, go to America, when they come back, they usually flaunting the money. They usually have wealth with them, and regardless of who they are, when they come back, they have money. And it's only safe to conclude that America is just land is filled with money. And I felt like it was really just detrimental to really have a conception that America is heaven, land of milk and honey, and streets are made of gold. Like, America is not like that, but that's what these people are thinking. So I went and I realized that I wanted to do a documentary that talks about these misconceptions. And that's when I came to the conclusion that I was going to do a documentary called The Promised Land, the land of milk and honey. So what is the Promised Land? Basically, it's just, I felt the responsibility to, convey the message that people are not getting. What nobody really tells them, I wanted to, shed light upon that. And I went through a series of interviews with different people that I met through Trinity African, through my personal means. This is me just conducting an interview. I also got the opportunity to do an interview with a well-known musician named Lagbaja. He's a musician. He comes after the well-known musician Fela. He's really big. He died a while back, but he's big enough that maybe last year, Jay-Z, they did a musical or on Broadway, something like that, on Fela and his life and everything. He's a well-known man, but that's another story. This is Lagbaja. After Fela died, Lagbaja came under him, and he started doing everything he did, but he had a mask on. And this mask was symbolic because he shows that, the common man of Nigeria is faceless, and your conscience is faceless. Therefore he should be faceless also. So that was his whole theory on that. So I got the opportunity to, ask him some questions about America, what he thought before and after, how it really was. And, he just hopes that, wearing his mask can symbolize hope. So during my interviews, I found that people who were coming to America came from different situations. Some people were just in poverty. Some people were just poor. So as soon as they got the opportunity to come to America, they just took it. Some people were business owners. They were already, the middle-class man in Nigeria. So it wasn't really, they were well off. It wasn't a desperation move. There were bank workers, there were government officials, and this kind of just shows that this misconception deceives everyone, regardless of your rank or anything. Like, everybody was fooled by this. So some of the reasons coming to America was some people just win the lotto, and the lotto is basically, it's like they have like this kind of like the lottery. You may win money here. In Africa, if you win the lotto, you automatically get a ticket to America, visa and everything. So also, yeah, like I just said, the visa, if you just get a visa, people just go. Also, personal desires, which I guess is basically just how you've already heard about America, and through your ear, you just already want to go. People come to further education or to get an education, and some people are in jobs like maybe the government officials. They already will probably be working abroad. And people come to become rich. There's like, you can like weave through and see the ones that, you know, who will not be successful just because why they came. If they don't have a reason to come that's really substantial, then they really are going to struggle here. And what happens is that people tend to lose their focus. I feel like that's a really overlining reason why people are not successful. And some of the challenges they face, or what they face here and they don't know, is that when they come, they're not going to be easily understood. And due to that, they're going to be treated inferior due to their accent. And also finding a job, which is a very big one I've seen through my interviews. But it's only a problem if you're not educated already coming. If you are highly educated where you're coming from, then you're fine. You don't really tend to struggle. And usually, like, all of this does not even concern you, because this is not what happened to you. And what nobody tells them is that there is tension between the black man and the African man. And, you know, kind of expanding on that, although we share the same skin, a black man is not the same as an African man. And what people know, there's like friction, major friction between them, that it's tacit. It's not something that you just be like, oh, I don't like you. It is a rivalry that's been going on for generations, because I guess during this research I see that, I guess, black people feel like these educated ones that come, they're kind of taking jobs, I guess, which is kind of what's happening in South Africa right now. So when you feel like they're taking your jobs, you're naturally not going to like them, because if you like culture, you wish you had culture, and these people who have the culture that you know you derive from, when they come and take your job, it feels like it's unfair, because then it's not like you're not one race anymore. You're two races, like, so it just becomes a rivalry. So even if we have the same skin, we're different from characteristics to demeanor. And what I learned was, even though they struggle, most of them cannot return unless they're successful. So they're perpetually just living in the state, struggling. And like the ones who came from poverty, they can't return, because what are they going to return to? If they sold everything, there's nothing for you to return to, so why even go back? And there's that natural African pride. Like, they always say Africans are not the most humble, which is, you know, I'll say it's true. And if you have that pride, you can't just swallow your pride and just come back and tell everyone, hey, you know, America's not like that, because no one's going to believe you. So societal pressures shows that you can't be the, how do I say, I guess the anomaly. You can't be the only different one. Oh, that was nice. You can't be the only different one and try to expect everyone to believe you. You can't, a single person cannot convince a whole society. And even though you're not the first one to struggle in America, you can't be the first one to really, truly admit to everyone that you struggle, because no one will believe you. And also, another major thing is, when they're perpetually just working here for such a long period, there's a time lapse between when they left and when they return, that when they return, it's like a totally different thing, because they've been living in America for so long, not practicing their customs and traditions, that when they return, they don't know what they're returning to. It's like their home country then their home country then turns into their foreign land, in America, which is their foreign land, turns into their home country by default. So, you know, after this, you know, in conclusion, I kind of saw that the quotes, one of the major quotes that I seen through this was Fontaine. He said, "I thought I came to America to live, but I came to survive," and that's due to the drugs and he did and sold here. Next one was, "I would rather live back home in the country, but if we're talking about safety and reliability into account, if we're taking safety and reliability into account, I prefer America." And that just shows how he would more he more likely likes his home country, but you know, when you take safety and reliability, he will pick America. And money can't buy happiness. And even though, you know, Africa sometimes is not the most safest place, they're always happy. When you look at the pictures, not the ones that are manipulated, but when you look at the natural pictures, everyone is always happy. And you know, the goal for this documentary, I plan to put it on the website of Training Africa, so is because it's like a, I guess, intercontinental website. I guess not just Americans will see it, but Africans will see it, which is my main goal. So people are, you know, educated before they come to America and be deceived. So that's my goal, and I plan, you know, not to sleep until I complete it. Thank you. Bow, bow, bow. What's the time?
25 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. It's like 20.